I kind of just had to let it go. And I prayed to God. I was like, bring me something that I'll be good at. And after I got baptized, everything, like just from my career, where I'm living, the people in my life, like everything just started aligning and everything started making more sense.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode on Divinely Disruptive. I'm your host, Jane Powers. I'm so excited that you took time to join me today, and I have a very special guest in our studio, Bella here, and you're going to find out why I keep her around. Bella, welcome to our studio.
Thank you.
And tell our listeners and audience today a little bit about you, because I think you're an incredible woman.
Oh, I love you.
So yeah, people that haven't had the chance to meet you, tell them a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm fairly new to Vegas, 3 years. I kind of just had that reset in my life where I was like, I just need to start completely over. And I moved here 2020, right when COVID happened. Didn't know anybody, just left everything back home, kind of took that leap of faith and was like, I'm coming out here. I'm going to meet new friends. That did not happen for at least 6 months, but it's okay. I had my French bulldog with me. So, she's my emotional support animal for that reason. So my parents were like, oh, do you want to come back here? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick it out. I think I have a purpose here. So just because everything is going on in the world that's crazy and messed up, I was like, I'm just going to settle here and keep myself grounded. So, I've been here 3 years. Now I've found myself, and I met you last year, which is just, so crazy. I'd gotten baptized and then I'd met you. I was really at a point in my life where I knew that I needed some type of change. Like I needed to have more beliefs, and I saw what it was doing to other people. So that's when I was like, I need to let go and let God. And yeah, I was just praying on meeting people like you, and the universe has aligned us, and I'm so very thankful for it. Yes. So thank you for having me on this lovely podcast. I'm so excited for you, and congratulations.
Yes, thank you so much. And like, even as you're sharing your story, there's so much alignment, because even my husband and I don't know if you know this, but we met in Seattle, and then I had a vision, like we should move to Vegas, and we didn't have any friends or family, but similar to you, I just knew that we were supposed to move here, start over, and there was purpose. Like I didn't know exactly what the purpose was. I didn't even know the exact vision.
Yeah.
But similar to you, left our family, left our friends, left the comfort zone to be here. And then on top of that, I remember actually having a moment with God. Like I want to create a dope family, like my spiritual family, and just be around people that are like-minded.
Yeah.
And as you said, the reality was not that. Like we moved, we had all these hopes, the pandemic happened, people were in a very awkward situation. And I love that you were so open about your faith too, is we literally got baptized also about 1.5 years ago. So it's just so funny, the instant alignment that we had. But again, I believe when you have that instant connection with somebody, there's so many layers of just commonality. And so I'm just kind of sitting here like, okay, we met on a podcast and now you're on my podcast.
Exactly.
Right? So again, like that's just so crazy. Now, if you don't mind expanding, how has life been in Vegas for you? Because I know it hasn't been easy for all of us.
Yeah, it's been very interesting. So I got here, and the reason why I wanted to move to Vegas in the beginning was I created a CBD spice line. And my vision was to take it off the ground here in Vegas. I was like, it's the capital of marijuana, all the dispensaries here, I just thought it was going to do so good here. Got here in February. We got shut down the next month. All my CBD expos got canceled. Everything I had planned got canceled for the year. So I was like, I have $40,000 worth of spices in my apartment right now. What the F am I going to do? So I had to figure it out. And I started just tapping into social media more, influencers. And it's not all what you think. Like chasing influencers is not fun. So, I learned a lot of hard lessons. But yeah, in that time, that's where I started asking myself, okay, what is it that I really want that's going to make me happy? It's not money. Yeah, we all want money. Like money helps a lot of situations, right? But there's more to that. So I was like, what does Bella really want? And I just wanted peace. Like how hard is that to find? And it's been hard. But last year I finally let go and I let God, and my whole life has changed since. Like it's kind of scary to see how much has changed for me in a year. And I just have stopped worrying about my finances, my friends, who's around, who comes and goes, because at the end of the day, who's going to stick will stick. Yeah. Who's going to go is going to go, because they're not meant to be in your life. So I've had to learn to let go of them too. Like I'm going to let you go with love at the end of the day. My whole life really transitioned after that. So I saw so much positive going for me. And I was like, I just want it to stay consistent, but you have to do the work yourself.
And so I really love what you said about peace, because even for me, I'm guilty. I'll create all these businesses. Like right now, I've like a handmade soy candle business, right?
That smells so yummy.
and at first, I'll keep it real. At first, I'm thinking, let's just make money because money makes us happy, right?
Yep.
Like money should make us happy. So I'll go on a website, buy a bunch of stuff super cheap so I can profit. That was my initial thought. And then I thought, okay, long term, is that going to make you happy? You're just buying a bunch of cheap stuff, reselling it for 10 times more. Is that really like who you are and what you want to be about? And so I kind of took a different twist and I said, you know what? No, I'm going to create my own batch. I'm going to take time, pride and joy in what I do, non-toxic quality. And this candle is not just a candle, but it's bringing light into people's homes, bringing light into people's spaces. So even with the podcast, Divinely Disruptive, I wanted to have a candle that also, complemented the podcast. Yeah. Right. At first, even with the podcast, I thought, well, I can't wait to have the Jane Show. It must be so fulfilling. And I remember when I was recording the first episode, I looked at my husband and I thought, I think we're supposed to have a guest. I think we're actually supposed to interview people, hear their story. And in that's where the magic happens. Mm-hmm. And so here you are today. I mean, we talked about this off the record. I'm creating a space so I can heal selfishly and selflessly, and now inviting people into the room, literally inviting you to sit with me in a real raw moment of time where I'm like, okay, Bella, I'm not where I want to be financially. I'm not with my summer bod yet, but like, I want you to sit with me and let's just be in it together.
Yeah,
and I know you had a rough day today too, but what matters is we're here right now. Mm-hmm. Just like yoga and meditation, we practice being present. And in being present, I do find that you can really celebrate and experience peace.
Yep.
So even when you started talking about the CBD spice, like my mind just went there. Like, good for you that you acknowledge, you know what? At the end of the day, yes, profit is necessary to run a business, but if peace is not in the process, then there's no point in continuing. And I've told you multiple times too, there will be a divine timing where God's going to say, okay, now that you have other ducks in a row, it's time to circle back. Yep. And, I'm going to take care of you. And, it's all about making sure we're in alignment and we're in the right headspace to create and produce what we want. Because I do believe spiritual people, children of God, we have gifts and power in the words we speak out of our mouth, and things we touch turn into gold, even the people that we choose to be in our lives.
Exactly.
Right. So without getting on a tangent, I'm just so thankful to have somebody like you in my life, because I do believe we are helping each other be better and keep each other accountable. So I always like to joke to every guest, like, what did you think when you first met me and how did we actually meet? Because people listening and watching, they're probably like, oh, I know Bella, or I've heard of Bella.
Yeah.
Wait, Jane, how are they friends? Because true connection, you can't really judge it by the eye, but by our spirit and our heart. Like, it's just unexplainable.
Yeah.
Right. We might walk different paths, but our heart and our spirit, we like have never felt so much closer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was funny because, like you said, we met on a podcast. So I remember there was a bunch of girls there. So it was a little intimidating for me because I was like, I don't even know what to talk about. Like, it was a very interesting podcast, you know? So I was just going with the flow, but I just remember how grounded you were. And you were like, I'm not taking shit from these people asking me these type of questions, because it was a very different podcast. Like, I'm not shaming nobody, but it was something, you know, out of my own comfort zone. But hey, you know, sometimes you got to step out of your comfort zone. And yeah, I was like, wow, she's a badass. And then I learned that you go to my church, and I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? I need her in my life. So look where we are.
Yep.
Your podcast.
And it was so funny too, because I remember being newer to Vegas. Shelby, our mutual friend too, she introduced me to the podcast and the guests. And I remember just like pretty much like ripping her apart. Like, what is this about?
Yeah.
Who's the interviewee? I'm not going to be put on stage looking stupid.
Yeah.
So I remember just feeling a little skeptical, and then being new to the city of Vegas. It's all about reputation, right? Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. But at the same time, I'm not going to walk into a room if their agenda is intentionally to make you look stupid, especially as women, hardworking women, intelligent women that don't use their body alone for status, right? And I remember after the podcast, like my eyes were just like laser focused on you and Amanda. And I'm thinking, okay, Jane, pump the brakes. You're being a little creepy, but just there was something about you, right? I'm sure we were all talking and I was just staring at you. Like we were all talking, but I'm like, there's something in you that I want to know. Like there's something in you that draws me to you. And even you sharing briefly, I mean, you know, we'll talk for days on other topics, but there's so much resilience in you as well. And I remember my mom always telling me, you know, Jane, when there's certain people that are drawn to you and you are drawn to them, there's almost like this void that we both have, but we don't even recognize this, but together it's like we fill that void.
Yeah.
So even without having that initial conversation of knowing you, it's like just your existence in the room felt very comforting. And then we went to dinner at Cassie Beach. And I remember it was just like good vibes.
Yeah. And it was like we were already friends.
Yeah. I was like, cool. What's your name? All right.
Oh,
perfect.
okay. I feel like I've known her. It was like a breath of fresh air, because it is hard here in Vegas. You know, like everybody, you know, they're very egotistic.
Yeah.
And it's okay. But, you know, it's hard to meet somebody that really aligns with your morals and your life. So, you know, everybody's different. But yeah, it was just such a breath of fresh air. I was like, oh my gosh, she's so nice. You know, like it was amazing.
And, you know, aside from your beauty, how do you navigate the social scene in Vegas? Because again, we all know how to dress up. We all know how to put the makeup and hair and the heels on. But, you know, for me, I'm still battling, finding my new circle, especially starting the new year with like new intentions. And again, I'm preaching alignment right now is, again, no shame or negativity on anybody, but I'm not who I used to be. So therefore, I'm really, you know, intentional with the people that I bring into my life right now, including you. So how is it navigating through this city and making friends? And I'm not talking about party friends. I'm talking like sisters.
Yeah. Well, first of all, how I look good right now, you did my makeup. So yeah.
She's a natural beauty, just a little something.
Beauty expert Jane right here.
Thank you.
Made me look all nice. So yeah, anyways. But it's not easy, you know, because I feel like you have to separate your party friends and your spiritual friends, because you guys are just not both on the same wave. And that's where I have my boundaries, and I know who I can party with, and I know who I can go to for venting, who's going to really, really help me and, you know, want the best for me. So when I moved here, I saw the good in everybody, because you don't want to see the bad in everybody. Right. So that's where I started learning real tough ass lessons, and it was hitting me and smacking me hard in the face. And I was like, okay, I have to not see the good in everybody. I can't be so vulnerable. And I want to say after I got baptized, that's when everything changed. And I know people in my life saw how my life was changing and they were trying to come back in my life. And I was like, no, not today.
Yeah, I can definitely relate. Just like even when I was touching up your makeup today, just nobody told us that seeing the good in people and being kind, especially in the church spiritual setting, you know, treat people like your brothers and sisters, love your neighbors. Like nobody told me as an adult, especially in the city of Vegas, that it almost does more bad than good.
Yeah.
Right. So again, that's why I'm drawn to your spirit, and your heart is like myself, for better or for worse. We have this gift of seeing people, even at their lowest, even at their worst, like, oh, they'll change.
Oh, yeah.
Or I know they didn't mean that. And we start to defend people or toxic relationships. We start to defend them and put them first, right? Like
or
we
make
could
excuses for them.
Exactly. So, you know, share what you want to share, because I've had so many toxic people I had to cut out from last year. How do you continue to set your boundaries with people that you know, unfortunately, just don't mean well, or that bring toxicity into your life?
I block them completely. I'm like, if I feel just a little tiny bit of like negativity or even jealousy, because there's a lot of hate and jealousy out here, and it's sad to say, it really is. But like people that I've called my best friends that I had to cut out of my life, I just saw certain things and behaviors and I was like, that's an act out of jealousy. Like, why would you be jealous of me? Like, if you know what I've been through to get to where I am right now, you wouldn't treat me this way. But you know, it's a big city here, you know, but it's also small at the same time. So I was really learning to kind of just stay back and stay in my lane. I was like, Bella, stay in your lane. Like, don't go in anyone else's lane. Just stay in your lane, because that's where things will just scramble and get messy. And I was just tired of it, you know? So I had, I don't want to say my business failed. I tried another business. We tried doing a food truck with it, and I just didn't have that 100% support that I needed. And in business, you need a team. You can't do everything by yourself. So I kind of just had to let it go. And I prayed to God. I was like, you know, bring me something that I'll be good at. And after I got baptized, everything, like just from my career, where I'm living, the people in my life, like everything just started aligning and everything started making more sense. And I get chills right now because it's so crazy to see how my life was just a year ago. And now I'm like, I'm doing better than people that have been here their whole lives. You know, and I'm saying that not to shame them, but because I'm proud of myself. And it's hard to give yourself credit. You know, like we're our worst critics. So now I'm like, okay, you know, go Bella. Like, you know, you're doing it. Like you're waking up every day, you're staying consistent. Like, and that's all that matters. You know, you put that love into your life, and life is going to love you right back.
And like, I can definitely agree with everything you're saying, because again, we've known each other about a year now, or 6 months to a year. And, you know, you and I have both gone through so much, right? Whether it's financial, whether it's careers, whether it might be romantic relationships. And I would fully agree with everything you're sharing is in the best way. You and I, like I said, we're not who we used to be. And we need to stand on that, be proud of that. And being God-centered, it does shift the way you show up. And, you know, we had a phone call today and I said, Bella, I hear you. Like, I'm not saying what you're going through is not fine, but show up for yourself. Yeah. Right. Because we can sit here and care about everybody else, but if we don't show up for ourselves, then we cannot be good for anyone else. Exactly. So it's almost reverse psychology. Like, so we can be better for family, so we could be better for our coworkers, so we could be better for our roommates or colleagues. We have to make sure we're showing up, because at the end of the day, you don't want to live resentful. I've had a whole season of that where you're just putting everybody before you, and then you start becoming resentful, like everybody around, because you're just pointing fingers like, look at what I did for you, and I didn't even do anything for myself. Right? You become bitter. So, you know, I just want you to acknowledge how far you've come, even in the year that I've known you. I see it, and just being able to continue our friendship and sisterhood. I'm sure you feel it, but there's like a shift in our maturity.
Yeah, no,
It's
there
like,
definitely is.
There's so much depth. And I was just sharing with you when I was doing your makeup, like, hey, I'll call myself out. I know we're probably not going to hang out as much as you want to, or we don't talk as much as we want to, but I kid you not, God forbid, when you're really down or at rock bottom, you know I'm going to be there for you. You know I'm going to say the words you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And you know I'll show up at your front door. And I'm learning that things are going to look different this year, right? I don't know if you saw the sermon from Jabin at City Light last week, but it was so powerful. And it was just preaching about how this new, or like what you're expecting, don't think it's going to be something that you've ever experienced. Because sometimes we pray, we ask God, oh, I want a good job, or I want new friends. But sometimes we are guilty of asking for things that are similar to what was, even if they were toxic. So I really believe in this new year for us, Bella. Yes, we want money. Yes, we want health. Yes, we want our Boss Babe tribe, but we have to accept it's going to look different.
Oh,
and with that, it might be a little painful. People being removed left and right. And I told you too, I'm like, dude, I'm kind of lonely now. I'm kind of bored. But what I really mean is, wow, God, like you're taking so much toxicity, manipulators, and things that I don't need in my life. And I feel so calm. I'm almost borderline bored, right? So in this new year, what are you most excited to experience?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh my gosh. So I've been in the mortgage industry for a year now, and my business is finally taking off. Like, especially being so new to Vegas too. You know, you have all these real estate agents, mortgage lenders. It's very competitive, and I did a lot of legwork last year. I was just in marketing. So I was bringing leads to my mortgage advisors, and I was like, I need to step in and do that for myself. You know, like I want to position myself to be the one where I'm generating and I'm in control. So now I've given myself about 6 months with a new company, and I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, wow, it's working better than I thought, better than I expected. So I'm just excited to just grow in the industry. And I'm not the type to be at all these networking events. I did that last year and I really burnt myself out. So that's where I've kind of stepped back, and I'm like, I'm not going to worry about money. I'm not going to worry about my deals. What is meant to be will be, because in this industry, not every deal you get is going to work, just like every relationship. So I had, instead of dwelling and taking things personal, I was like, I just had to let it be. You know, it's like just letting go on to the next. So I'm excited just to kind of see, like, you know, the rest of my business blossom. I have some business goals, and we'll go into that later, that I'm really like laser focused on. And I know if I just keep being consistent like I was for a year, just being in this industry, it's going to open up a lot of doors for me. So it already has. And that's where I'm like, okay, I'm going in the right direction. Like I got it tatted on my foot, walk with God. So he knows he's right next to me. I'm walking in the right direction, and it feels good. For the past 5 years, I've been battling depression, PTSD, and, you know, I'm still not fully healed, but I'm in such a better place where I don't care what anybody says. You don't pay my bills, you know, like I have to provide for me at the end of the day. I'm going to be there for you if you need me. You know, I'm that type. Like I'm a ride or die, but I need a ride for the right ones. And that's also what I need to do this year, because it takes a lot of energy out of you. So yeah, just with my goals this year, I'm just really excited to see what other doors open up for me.
No, and thank you so much for sharing. And this is super exciting chapter for you, because I remember having a phone call and you're like, Jane, I'm putting all these hours in and nothing's coming in. And I remember we did a follow-up call and you're like, Jane, it's happening. And I'm like, what do you mean? What's happening? You're like, the deals are coming through. I was like, what? And you're like, all those hours, like finally it's coming. And so I think that says a lot about our spiritual walk, but also the, intentionality of life, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's friendship, whether it's finance, whether it's our career, unfortunately, you have to show up, right? We could sit here and just ponder about the past, but consistency does matter. Whether it's our diet, whether it's prayer, whether it's fitness, whether, again, it's showing up for your clients, getting on those calls that maybe you don't want to do. So don't be surprised when this year is full of abundance for you. Don't be surprised if this year is full of peace. Don't be surprised if you and I start to make amazing memories, traveling, going to beach clubs, going to a girls trip, because I've been manifesting that already.
So we have.
And so for me, I want to be around people who are like-minded. And I used to think it was selfish of me saying that out loud. Oh, I just want to be around people like me, or I just want to be around like-minded people. But exactly what you said is, you want to focus on what you really want to do with the right intention. And I don't think it's bad to want that for people.
Yeah.
Right? Because we could all be around wealthy people. Okay, is that what we want to pray to God? God, I just want to be around wealthy people. I just want to be around people who have money. Okay, so what? You're going to be around murderers and people who probably got money the wrong way, or people like us who humbly, even in seasons of emptiness and self-doubt, God provided because of the way that our faith was and how important our faith was in believing, right? So this is kind of a fun question, because I'm very proud to be out with you and being seen with you. What is it like in the dating game? Because I know sometimes women like us, it's hard to have female friends and, girlfriends we can go out on. But what is dating like? Because again, even from what I've experienced, because of your shift, because you got baptized, because you put God first, because you're just so laser focused, there's a different type of wavelength and energy exuding out of you. So I just can't even imagine. Yeah. Because like I said, you already know, girl, whenever we're out, I'm just like, I have to hug you, maybe kiss you, because you're so beautiful. But
I love you.
What is that like in the dating world?
It's hard out here. It's really hard. There's a lot of temptation. There's a lot of beautiful women out there, so yeah, the dating game is not easy here in Vegas. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to find love in Vegas. I haven't gave up, but I'm loving myself first. And I feel like once I fully love myself, that's when God will bring that right partner in my life. Because I am picky, but I have to be picky for the right reasons. And I'm just kind of on a selfish wave right now. And I want a partner. I don't want to be alone. It's been lonely. And luckily I have 2 little French bulldogs that, are freaking smothering me every morning and every night. So I don't have to, get all in my feelings. But it's been so rough. And I came out here not looking for love at all. It was the opposite. I was like, I'm out here for business moves. Like, I'm out here for money moves. And, after all that, being here, going on 3 years, I've dated, and I'm just like, well, I'm just going to date myself for now. And kind of let God work his, like I told you, he works behind the scenes. So it's very hard because, like I said, there's a lot of women out here. There's so many beautiful girls, and guys are just guys.
And to add to that, I was sharing in the bathroom thank you for being real. That's what this is about. But, I like just how open you are right now, because people listening and watching right now, they are getting more insight about you, right?
Yeah.
So not just supporting you as a human, maybe they need your services or just need somebody like you. And like I mentioned, the podcast is also a platform where people are feeling really lonely right now. People are feeling really vulnerable. And in the first episode where it was just me, I remember just talking about how anxious and depressed I've been, and how everybody knows me as like Jolly Jane, always the life of the party, hosting endless parties 6 days a week. And I just like broke down and cried. And even crying in public, that's not my thing. And I didn't recognize, wow, like I've been feeling really lonely, disconnected. And so, people have to realize, like, being lonely is not something to have like shame, right?
Yeah,
Being
at
lonely
all.
or feeling disconnected, there's no shame in that. I feel like, you know, Brene Brown talks about this, the power of vulnerability, right?
Mhm.
Like, even in our pain, even in our darkest moments. Like I said, this podcast was inspired by my darkest days, right? I don't need to have shame. I
Yeah.
should be proud. Like, hey, I use these moments of loneliness, being disconnected. It's funny, but it's not funny,
Yeah.
right? In those moments, it's like, okay, Jane, how do you pick yourself up? Like, yes, I know you're hurting. Yes, it's tough, but you got to pick yourself back up because somebody needs to hear your story or somebody needed to meet you. And so even in your journey right now of independence, and as you mentioned, loving yourself, dating yourself, shit, I'm guilty of that. I think that I rather hide in the house than go to a coffee shop alone. And that's something I'm going to work on this year because I've been married for 7 years. I'm very independent, but you know, my husband recently kind of asked me in a very loving way, like, you know, maybe you're a little insecure sometimes. And I'm like, oh, my ego. What do you mean? I'm Korean Crazy Rich Asian. I'm perfect. I love myself. And I had to check myself. I'm like, ooh, ouch. I think what he meant was, hey, you look the part. Nobody's questioning that. You know, you show up, you act the way that you need to, but maybe there's parts of you that you haven't gone into. And I'm like, ooh, that's scary.
That you need to explore.
Yeah. So where you're at, Bella, is beautiful. And I need to tap into that too, is like, as women, especially in the city, that dating phase and that loving yourself phase should never end. I don't think it should ever end, whether you have a boyfriend, a fiance, a husband, an ex. Like, I don't think it matters. We have to continue to pour into ourselves, right? So if you could suggest to me and everyone listening, what is your favorite ways for self-care? And how do you reset your mind when you feel like you're in this like wheelhouse of repeating the same stuff, same self-hatred or same self-doubt? Because I'm guilty of that. What would you recommend for me and people listening right now?
So about 2 years ago, it was crazy. So I got a little story too. So I tapped into Reiki. I had somebody in my life and they're like, you know, you went through something really traumatic. We'll get to that story one day, but they're like, you need to see like a Reiki specialist. And I was like, oh, okay. It sounds kind of weird because they're not like massaging you. I didn't really understand. It was more energy work. So the first time I tried it, I was like blown away. I was like, oh my God. I was like, when do I come back? She's like, your body will tell you when you need to come back. So I started kind of teaching myself about it and I was meditating a lot. I bought the big sound bowls to just do it myself and just really tap into my own spirituality because I wanted it for myself. And I also wanted to inspire my own like friends and family. Like, you know, energy is everything. So if your energy is off, you can't do something the right way. Just on my way here, you know, I was distraught, but, you know, you're like, you know, sending me affirmations, all this positive, you know, and I needed that. And if you don't have that in your life, it's going to be hard. So I tapped into that and I meditate daily. And then a year after, I finally let go and let God. Actually, I want to shout her out, Mika. Yeah. I was following her journey and I was like, wow, this girl's life is changing. Like I'm seeing it just through social media. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to her church. Let me try. Went by myself and I was scared as crap to go. And I was like, I cried so much that first Sunday I went and I just like thanked her. And after that, like I was going every Sunday. And then before you knew it, I got baptized in front of the whole church. And that's when it really changed for me, like everything. I got my house. I got a raise with my company. And just so many things were just lining up and it was getting better and better. So I was like, okay, you know, this is working. Yeah. You know, so I meditate. I stay consistent with those things because I feel like if you don't, you're not really grounded, and you have to be grounded, especially in this city. You got to stay grounded. You got people out here that are trying to poke at you And, you just have to be strongly minded, and yeah, just not let it affect you and pull that negative energy out of you. That's why, yeah, if I feel negative energy, I'm sorry, you're blocked. I'm Miss Petty. I will block you on every platform. I'll block you on my phone. I don't want negative in my life. And that's why I've prayed for so much peace. And now I'm like, whew, gosh, I've needed this for so long. And it's a breath of fresh air. It's like, and that's where my boundaries come in too. Like, I'm a fire sign. I'm a Sagittarius. So I can't just be home every single night. Like, I need some fire. So, I go out when I need to, but I'll stay home as well, because I also know I need to stay home because I don't want to get too in my head, and I don't want to burn myself out. Like, here, living in Vegas, you will burn yourself out so quick. So it's all about balance. But yeah, so when it comes to that question, meditation, like having morals, having beliefs, sticking to them. The gym is also, one of them. Vegas is beautiful. I started hiking. That was releasing endorphins. So I was just doing positive things that were making my mental health better. And I was like, okay, I don't need to sit there and drink.
Who are we to even judge somebody's process?
Yeah.
And who are we to even define what their healing journey should look like, right? Only you and God know what you're really going through. Same for me. Only God and I know.
Yeah.
And part of my fire to like love on people, Bella, is, man, I'm sure you've had these moments, but sometimes I don't know how to say it right, but I'm like telling my husband, I'm like, I might die tomorrow. And he's like, why do you keep talking about death? Like, why do you keep having these morbid thoughts? And I'm like, babe, in case I die, can you just tell all my friends that I love them and blah, 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 blah. And then with time, he started recognizing, Jane, I think what you're saying is you live so present. You live with such urgency that when that time comes, you're okay. Like, he helped me understand what I didn't even understand. And so I don't think it's bad to live with urgency, and especially this new path we're on right now, including healing. It's going to make us so close to ourselves in like such a deeper way. You feel so close to life and death at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? But it's almost like this spiritual realm of like how precious life is. It's like, I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to put on a smile. All I ask is that you're real enough to be like, hey, Jane, today I'm just not okay.
Yeah.
Or today I had a situation with a family member. I'm not okay. And I really appreciate that, because I think that says also a lot about how much you trust me and the level of friendship and sisterhood we have. Because I also recognized in this new transformative healing journey that who do you talk to or call or text when you're down, right? It sounds so backwards, because I thought, oh, like you just go and party or you just take selfies with your girlfriends and that's a best friend. But no, I realized the bestest friends on this earth are the ones that, yes, you can have the most blissful enlightenment times, but literally in your darkest days where you're just, you don't want to even be alive. Like, Bella, I just need to hear your voice, right? And I hope you know that you're that for me and I am that for you as well. And it's just incredible, because like even today I was in a funky dunky mood, but then when you showed up, it's like, okay, this is why we're here. This is why we're overcoming. And you could hear it in my voice when you called me. I'm like, Bella, this is not just for you. It's for me too. You need to show up. And what I was also telling you is, Jane, you need to show up for yourself too. Bella needs you. Bella needs herself. You need me, but I need myself to also show up. Now, going in kind of a moment of darkness, I want to be very careful, because I know people throw out anxiety, people throw out depression, people throw out suicide these days because they think it's fun or like trendy. For me, that's not the case. But again, I've had some dark days where I'm just like, so much has happened where I didn't process all the trauma and I didn't process all the things that triggered me, including toxic people. When you have hit rock bottom and felt really isolated and alone, how did you get out of it? Because this is a real thing that people are dealing with right now. Is, yes, happy new year, happy new me, new year 2023, but I can just sense there's still a big part of this life and people in this world right now where this has been like the worst time of their life,
Yeah.
right?
I give myself that day off. If I need that mental break, I have learned from a great boss, and I consider him a mentor, a big brother now, that it's okay to take a day to yourself. And I didn't think like that for years. Like, I always thought taking a day to myself was selfish. I'm like, no, I have to show up for others. But how can I show up for others if I'm not showing up for myself? So, yeah, he would be like, you need to stay home, work from home, don't come in the office, take a nap, wake up, go to the gym, go for a run. And I did all those things, and I would feel so much better. And I'm like, wow, like, it's crazy if I didn't do those things, how much worse I would have felt going into the office, being in such a bad mood, you know? So you have to give yourself that recharge too, because we go. Like, I work 60 plus hours. Like, I work 24/7. My phone is nonstop. Like, I pick up every call. I'm in meetings every day, all day. And it gets exhausting, but I love what I do. I'm helping people get into their dream house, you know? So it makes me feel good that I'm helping people accomplish a goal in their life that takes years, takes decades, you know? So I've helped older couples that are 20, 30 years older than me that are just getting into their new home, their first home, you know? So I have to take that step back and, yeah, just fully recharge for myself, for my own mental health, because I want to show up for not just myself, but anybody who does come into my life.
Yeah, no, I love that. And especially being an overachiever or a resilient woman, a boss lady, like you and I are both guilty of it. Like, it's not a negative thing, but we do push ourselves a little bit harder than your average female. This is something that we are wired. And just even when you said, hey, taking a day off, and how your old ways you thought, okay, this is kind of selfish, right? Like, oh, but they need me, you know, back to what we were sharing, how we have to show up for ourselves first to show up for somebody else. So I love that you honored what your mentor and boss said about, hey, Bella, just take a day off, take a nap, go work out. And I'm thinking to myself, man, when's the last time I did that? It's been a minute, but when I have done that, where it's strictly for me, I didn't feel so angry and bitter. Like, I was ready to show up again versus, oh, I'm just dragging myself to the next day, or I'm dragging myself to the next meeting, or I'm dragging myself to the next business call.
Or being scared that you're going to get fired.
Yes.
Because that's
that
also
paranoia.
Anxiety that I was fearing. I'm like, no, I have to come into the office. He's like, no, you don't. Like, take a day off. Like, it's okay. Like, I need you 100% tomorrow. Like, you're 50% today. I need you good tomorrow. So do what you need to do. Make yourself happy. If it's laying in bed all day, watching New Girl, whatever the case may be, because that's my new show that I'm on, so be it. But, you know, I like doing other things. Like, I can't just lay in bed all day. Like, I have to get up, just take care of my house, even if it's doing laundry, cleaning, just things to make myself feel better, because those are recharges that I need. And it's crazy because before, I had a boss who was like, if you're not in the office at 9 a.m. on the dot, you're effing fired. And I was like, how is that, you know, how is that supposed to make me feel good to come in here? You know, so I'll never forget the day when he told me that. That was my last day.
You're like, this is not an environment I want to be in.
I said, peace. I gotta go. And then I was worried sick for months. Like, what am I going to do? I had a little cushion of savings, but I was like, what am I going to do? You know, like, I need to find a company. And I did all this legwork with marketing. I was like, I'm going to look so dumb because I just went full throttle for this company I'm not with anymore. And then, you know, just having God in my life, like, I'm so thankful for my mentor, my boss. He's like my big brother. Just having him in my life, seeing what that freedom is in your work. So, you know, I work so much, but I have so much freedom behind it. And that's where that piece comes into play, where it's so important. And I'm like, oh my gosh, even my boss is telling me take a day off. Like, and I'm still getting paid for taking the day off. You know, like that's the piece that I need. So yeah, with all that being said, it all aligns at the end of the day. So, you know, you want peace, you have to go get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to just come.
Yeah. And I'm kind of envious over here about your boss. And I think I met him at your birthday.
Yeah,
right?
you did.
Kind gentleman. And he is a very wise boss because the way he approaches leadership, mentoring, having a team, he's absolutely brilliant, because when you take care of your team takes care of him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even having that relationship of you inviting him to your birthday, for example, like that is something beautiful.
Yeah.
Because a lot of bosses, owners, CEOs, they don't necessarily care. I mean, sure, they'll say it in words, but their actions don't show.
Yeah, like they won't show up for you.
Exactly. So unlike your previous employer, he is literally giving you freedom to say, hey, you matter, your life matters, your time matters. I value you as a person. And in return, when you do rest and recover, it just makes you want to go back harder.
Yeah.
And like work for him even more, show up, be loyal, and it shows in how you're producing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's not an accident that you left your job that was a bit toxic. I know we've all gone through that. You had several months to kind of, again, it wasn't easy, but you had some cushion savings to be like, okay, this next job will be better.
Yeah.
Because if not, then what was the point, right?
Yeah.
To go backwards and to be in a worse situation. And that moment right there is really comforting my soul right now, because I'm also in a very intense transition. I'm used to also working for a bunch of people
Mm-hmm.
and not having too much freedom. And now it's like I have all the freedom in the world where I feel lost, but I'm slowly kind of shifting into my most authentic self that brings me joy. And I almost forgot the person that I was, because when you work for toxic people, for example, you start to change to make sure their needs are met, or you start to change because they want you this way. And I feel like that's not a peaceful life.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like a peaceful life is being present in who you are, owning all that you are, and being able to literally showcase all that you are, and being able to make money at the same time, but
Mm-hmm.
not letting money alone be the force of why you do what you do. Now, as a boss babe and a very hardworking lady, something that I also try to take time is, okay, celebrate the wins,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we always feel like we're not enough or we need to do more. Up to this point in your life, Bella, let's just start humbly. What's like the top 3 things that you are so proud of?
Leaving the company I was with, because I was so scared I wasn't going to find anything better, because I had a good salary. And I was like, okay, I'm now going to have to go into all commission. But that was where I was like, I took the leap of faith and I was like, God's going to provide whatever I need. So listen how crazy this is. So I started with a new company, and the old company gave me a 6-month severance.
Dude, that's crazy.
And I was only an employee with them for 8 months.
Oh,
I wrote them a very honest letter about how I was harassed and how I was mistreated. And I wanted to do something about it. Like I had a voice, like everything, because I was taking advantage of. And I was overworking. Like I wasn't clocking in on the weekends. I'm working for other people instead of really myself. So when I was so worried that I'm on all this commission, boom, I see a Zelle and I'm like, why did I just get paid?
Yeah.
I haven't been with them for a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out they were giving me a 6-month severance. Wow. And then my deal started coming. So I was like, okay, God, the abundance is coming, So I had to really step into that and just not be so scared. I was like, I got a roof over my head. He's going to provide for me and my dogs. It's okay. I got a car. It'll get me from A to B. I'm very simple. Like I've had every nice car that any girl can dream of. I don't care for those things. Like I feel like when you go through certain things in life, you have to let go of that. And that's why now I'm so simple. Like I'm I'm a hippie. I really am. And that's why I'm on this journey. And even with everybody in my life, like I'm like, hop on my bus, just let's go for this ride together. And people who do, they see, they're like, oh my God, like that's why I gravitate the right people in my life now. And it's all making sense to me. So yeah, I'm very proud of that I took that leap and, just took that fear out of my head, because money gets just so stuck in your head. Like, okay, what am I going to do if I'm not producing? And being in my industry, it takes a couple months to produce a couple deals. Just to close a deal, it takes 30 to 45 days. So you could get one lead and it takes, 30 to 45 days. And then sometimes it won't even work.
You got more patience than me.
So I had to be really patient, but I was like, God, you're going to provide for me. Like, I'm not going to be worried. I just had to let go of fear, because if you hold on to fear, you're going to come into these roadblocks that will get you stuck. And it's the devil. Like, the devil doesn't want you to move forward. So you just got to push through it. And I had to push through it. It wasn't easy, but finally I'm at the place where I want to be. Like, not fully, but I'm getting there. She's getting there. Homegirl's getting there.
And the reason why I asked, thank you for sharing, is, again, go-getters like us, we're always thinking of like the next move instead of simply celebrating what we've already accomplished. And I'll take that even spiritually, is sometimes we forget like what God has already done. And I'll tell you right now, Bella, like if it wasn't my faith, I don't see myself alive, because when I remember God and what he has done and what he has shown me, it's like he has given me so much purpose. Like when the world shows me that I'm not enough, and when the world shows me that I'm not what I need to be, like God shows me, and God reminds me, like, you are exactly who you are. You're even the way you look, even the way you talk, even the way you show up, like I made you this way. Like there's so much purpose and intention. So, as you shared, it's like we can't forget what we've been blessed with. Yes, what we have overcome and what we have done as humans, but not forgetting the ultimate divine power, which is God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like with God, we were able to get this far. Like with God, we were able to achieve the achievements we accomplished. And with God, we were able to redirect friendships, circles, removing toxic people. Like it was all God, right? Because sometimes we can get a little silly and think that we are in control.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned even fear, like shame on us in a way. Like why do we think that we can control every paycheck, every person, every opportunity, every door? Like who are we to think that we can define everything?
Yeah.
Right? Like there's that saying, when we make plans, God laughs, right? So I love that you said that, of course you had moments of fear. Of course you had moments of doubt, but ultimately you knew and believed that God will provide, and he is, and he will continue to. So that is very inspiring, Bella, because I'm in a very vulnerable place right now where, like I mentioned, I have my handmade soy candle business, but because it's made in-house, I can only make like 5 to 10 a month. So it's like, I need some time. It's not mass produced. So even with that, I know with a lot of startups and new businesses, it takes some time to profit, but I believe that there is a bigger purpose in why I'm creating this. Same with the podcast. Obviously down the road, I would love to have paid sponsors. Any sponsors, give me a call, send me an email, but that's not the point, right? I know through the content, through the quality of content, through just the realness and conversations that matter, it's all about the right people listening in and saying, you know what? I want to meet Bella. You know what? That Jane Powers girl, there's magic all over her. Okay, cool. But alignment, like that's all I wish for both of us right now, is as we're navigating into this new realm of abundance and peace and joy, is God, please just bring the right people.
Yeah.
Because we could have a whole bunch of people coming in and out of our life, stealing our joy. And speaking of the enemy, that's exactly what the enemy wants to do. Is I told you this afternoon when we were on the phone, like the moment there's a breakthrough, the enemy's sitting there literally outside your door. Like, where are you going? You think you're going somewhere?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to make sure I pop your tire or make sure something happens in the road where you ain't going where God wants you to go.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the moment we have to fight harder. That's the moment we have to lean in deeper. And especially with the right people God has placed in our life, that is the people we need to lean in
Yeah.
to, because they're going to guide us back, like you said, the right people. They're going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Exactly.
Right? So, man, you got me really fired up right there. I'm like, okay, amen. Something that I also like to ask every guest too, just like as we close the podcast for now, we definitely want to have you back because there's so many stories and life lessons you do have. I know you went through some, traumatic things. I want to dive into that next time you're on. But what would be 3 life lessons that you would tell your younger self?
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a deep one.
It is deep because if I were to walk in a room and see my 27-year-old self 5 years ago, like, I just want to tell her it's going to be okay. Like, and I can cry saying that because it was hard for me. Like, I was married and I had stepkids and things got really ugly. And I have a decent relationship with my ex because I didn't want to have that bitterness towards him. And I just wanted to forgive just so I could move on with my life. But like, if I had God more in my life years ago, I think things would have been better. And now that I see myself, I'm like, I was so sick 5 years ago, so mentally sick, like just drowning in alcohol, like to the point where I didn't want to wake up. So, just staying positive, finding like the right outlets in your life, because there's so many, but it's the right outlets, and staying positive and really tapping into that spiritual world, because it opens a whole other dimension in your life that I wasn't expecting at all. Like, I was like, okay, it sounds good, but yeah, I had to stay consistent 5 years, but now I have a great testimony and I feel good about it. I'm more excited to share my story, even though it's not the greatest story, but it's my story. So that's all that matters. And, I changed my life. That's why I came here. And I gave myself, that chance. Like, God did give me a second chance. Like, I'm so lucky to be alive from what happened to me that I cherish that. And I'm holding on to that for the life of me. So that's why anybody wants to do me wrong, hey, I just got to let you go with love.
Oh, I love that. And again, you and I kind of talked about that story, which we'll make sure we dive deep into next time you're on the podcast. And again, thank you for just opening up your heart and being vulnerable with me, because again, I have stories for days as well. And I'm sure I'll talk about it when I'm ready as well. But I think oftentimes we want to forget the things that we have gone through. And, I've learned, how do I say this carefully? It's okay to embrace what has happened.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to accept and say, oh, again, defending our past or defending those that did wrong to us. I'm not saying that, but I think it's okay for our own healing, to embrace.
Yeah. No, and it's crazy you say that. Yeah. My ex-husband literally says that to me. He's like, embrace, as messed up as what I did to you, like, embrace where you are in life.
Yeah.
Like, he's behind bars right now.
And look at where you are, right?
I'm out here. Yeah. Like, and it's easier for him because he doesn't have to pay bills. Mm-hmm. He gets fed. He gets showered. Mm-hmm. I'm out here doing all the hard work, providing, putting a roof over my head, trying to help my family, even though, it's gotten rocky to where I have to kind of step back and just put myself first. But it's embracing our stories and what we went through. So it's crazy you say that, because he's like, embrace it. Like, stop dwelling on it. And I was dwelling on it for so long, like, still like, how did you do this? Like, why? And he's like, he had demons he couldn't fight. And that's his destiny. That's his life. God had a whole other journey for me. So yeah, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have met you. So that's where I have to embrace everything. And it wasn't fun. I had a lot of bumps and bruises and scars, and I still have them on me, but they're getting less visible. And, just doing that work will slowly heal. And I just have this intuition. Thank you again. That's very personal. I have this sense next time you are on this podcast,
will probably need tissue because we're going to go into just toxic relationships, the signs of toxic relationships, because again, I've seen it with my own eye, I've experienced it, but a lot of people are trapped and they don't know how to get out. So I just have this God intuition that next time you're here, we're going to go just dive deep.
Oh, I'm ready for it. I know it'll help a lot of people because I was that person. I didn't know what direction to go in, but I woke up one day and I was like, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I was like, I want to feel good. I don't want to feel depressed anymore. So even though I still had that depression every day, I had to just get up and show up for me. And it was the littlest things, just go to the gym, go for a walk. And then finally I was like, all right, no more Florida, no more New York. I need to go to the West Coast. Let me go to Vegas. And yeah, that's where my new journey began. Viva Las Vegas, baby.
Yeah. Oh my God. And again, we could go on for days because we're just that dope.
Yeah.
But again, I know people listening and watching right now, they took away a lot. And, you know, I always try to be respectful of the guests, especially your first time on. You know, I don't want to overwhelm yourself or people listening, but I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for, again, just showing up for everyone on this podcast. And, you know, again, your realness is what empowers me. Your realness is what encourages me. And I appreciate that you really do try to be a real friend. Because I realized in the city of Vegas, we're all guilty of this. But when we're not showing up as our authentic self, then we're not connecting with somebody that actually needed to connect with the real you in that room. So may we continue to walk with authenticity. May we continue to walk with God conviction. And may we continue to walk through this year with just this laser focused vision of, okay, who is Bella? Who is Jane? And continuing to discover the best version of us. Because I believe in that walk, we will be changing lives, whether people say it out loud or, again, listening and watching on social media or the podcast. But you will change lives. You continue to change lives. So just wanted you to know that, okay?
Yeah.
And guys, now you know why she's in my life, why I keep her around. And again, that spark we had from day one, I think this is just a testimony as well that there are broken people in the world. There are people hurting, abused, battered, including myself. But in that realness, that's when we can have a divine connection. So even as we talk and get to know each other on a deeper level, I'm not surprised. You know, it's like we chose to show up and honor our journey. And again, like we said, embrace our journey. And now we have each other.
Exactly.
So excited for our sisterhood and friendship to grow.
I love you, girl.
I got you. And please make sure to support us and support her. I'll make sure to link all her Instagram and all the links down below. And again, she can help you get to your dream home as well. I know I'm working hard for that as well, so I'm going to need you.
Oh, I got you, girl.
Okay. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys had some great takeaways. I know I did. And until next time, protect your peace and keep shining.